Hey, beauties. Good evening to you, beautiful people. All right, so boy, the news watcher. I have to call myself the news watcher, the news lady. So I was listening to Senator Lambert Brown from the opposition's side, and ah boy, well, in this sense, he would be a man after my own heart. When he was talking about the restructuring of the compensation package, that, a number of the public sector workers, employees are paid poorly, poorly. They are paid poorly. He had singled out, certain positions and so on. I would differ and or add to it rather. Let me not say differ. I wish he just spoke about everyone. I understand. I've often said that some will carry more weight than some, based on the nature of it, especially if it relates to life or death. So, who would head the list would be anyone in the medical field, because that speaks to one's life, speaks to them saving your life, or unfortunately if they're unable to. So that would head the list once you're a part of the public sector force, and then for me, teachers, because teachers are like lifelines in a sense as well. They move you from illiteracy to literacy. They move you from dunce to bright, however you want to look at it. And then you have civil servants, you have other people, and so on. So, for me personally speaking, across the board in general, public sector workers are not paid well. Naturally, those in leadership posts, by and large, I would say they probably would be paid sufficient. You probably say adequately, depending on where you fall. Because I remember when last year, I think it was May, when Dion Jackson Miller was interviewing the finance minister Nigel Clark, and he had quite a number of placards showing the payment cycle, or showing the moving from this stage to this other phase, or whatever it is. And she had to say to him, "Sir, I get the point, but you're showing me those in leadership, which they are the minority, in comparison to those who are among the majority. The majority is who are complaining. You know how they would have the slogan, the majority is always right. I think now I'm understanding why that slogan is coined. It's not very literal only in the way that you hear it when it says the majority is always right. What they're saying is that a spin off to that is that the majority, you have to look at how it affects the majority. Naturally, you have to look at how it affects the majority in anything that you're doing. If you're selling motor vehicles, for example, or you're selling a pair of shoes, it makes no sense if you're only selling to the minority. You're not going to become wealthy that way. You have to look at the majority. They have to look at the majority, even if their prices are at a certain level. And that is why you'll find business gurus, they'll have low tier, mid tier, high tier. They're still looking at the majority, but they also want to encapsulate those, among the elites, so that they can get a certain amount in one sweep. So, for example, if a pair of shoes costs $100 US versus 2,000, 3,000 US dollars, it makes a difference. However, the multiplicity of that $100 can in some sense supersede the 2,000, because you will find that it's only a select few that can afford the 2,000, 3,000, and so on shoes. So the majority right principle is not only literal, it can be used in the sense that anything that you are doing in leadership, you have to look at how it affects the whole, as opposed to the minority, as opposed to the exceptions to the rule. That is why they coined the term the majority is always right. It now makes sense to me. So it's not about literal being right, correct. Public sector workers are not paid properly. The majority, it is not the minority that are complaining. People don't, it's like, let me tell you what, you just need that rock to crack, and then it just hits onto something else, like the straw that broke the camel's back, and then you just see the avalanche coming down, creating that snowball effect, and everything is just damaged in its way. Everything is eliminated that is in its way. And we create such a monster. So people are not going to get up and speak because they're afraid. They don't want to be shafted. They don't want to be blacklisted. They don't want to be blackballed. They don't want to be ostracized or gaslighted. where people are saying things that they don't say. Public sector workers by and large are not paid well. Nobody can. I am. When we look at when the last year when the salary increases happened, was it last year or this? Yeah, last year. Forget, we're in 2024 now. When the MPs and so on had gotten the 100%, 200%, 300% increase, I was simply saying that their salaries were still, even in its old stage, not old I wanted to say, even in the stage before it had moved up, still was higher than those who would have got the 20%, even with getting the 20% increase on the majority. Their 20% increase still not, or would not take them to the MP's original salary. It still would not take them to the MP's original salary. There are people earning barely over 100,000 per month. So what do you think 20%? 20% wouldn't take them to a $9 million yearly salary, or $7 million yearly salary, or even six or so yearly salary. If they can say that the 7 and the 5, 6, 7, 9 or $10 million yearly is insufficient, because basically that's what they're saying. When they had said rather that it was not sufficient, and until they get their premium salaries, then they can do premium work. So that is what they were complaining about. So if they can consider that not sufficient, how would you describe those who are getting less than that? They're decayed, they're decomposed, almost never to be resurrected. We would need an Ezekiel 37 is there, so when Ezekiel talk about the dry bones, speak life into it. We definitely need that. It means they're decayed. Years ago, somebody from the JLP side an MP had said that, boy, the people years long before COVID, never forgot it, heard it with my own 2 ears, my 2 eyes, my nose, my mouth, everything I heard it with. When they said people who are earning $500,000 per month, basically it would amount to that, whether net or gross, because gross is before tax. And I get the impression he was talking net. They're barely scraping. They are barely scraping. I never forgot it. That never left me. I never forgot it when the MP said it. I know which MP it is. Funny enough, it's an MP that I like and admire from the JLP's side. I was shocked. I was in private sector at the time. And I said, wow. Then if he can say that, then why the rest of people them dead as neat, with only the hope of a miracle to be resurrected? Never forgot it. I'd really, really admire that MP. I kid you not. And I'm not being sarcastic. Really, I do. That's why I tell people, don't label me anything, because I like people from both sides. Not to say I hate any others. I mean, I'm talking in terms of work that I've seen them done. And, maybe how their personality is to me. The public sector workers are not paid well in general. So Mr. Lambert Brown is correct. Poorly paid. And this deliberation on the reconstruction, I keep saying restructuring is ridiculous. When they were giving themselves 100%, 200%, 300%, they just put it to the people, and the following month or the same month, I don't remember when, they were paid. This dragging out is ridiculous. Ridiculous. The 20% is ridiculous, crazy. Give the people at least 50%. Because they're going to say if it's 100%, or they're going to pay so many people at 100%. Why not? Well, it can be done if you guys want to. The amount of money that the government gets all over the place. Like all over the place they get money. All over the place. Whether loans, grants, aids, something. Down to criminal money them have in one fund. What they capture. Yeah? Public sector workers are not paid well. They need a better pay, 50 to 100%. 50 to 100%. Let people be able to live in a decent home and drive a decent car and take vacations in some decent places. Public sector workers need it because the salaries they suck. The monkey money need for done. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this.